even want? All right, let me switch over really quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Because she's crying to go out. Not my dog. Broke the internet. Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no right or wrong as long as you like what you put on your system. Who cares?
Yeah, I've had multiple fan ducts. I mean, between all the, I've got TiVos, I've got every Wanhao and duplicates under the sun of Wanhao because I used to work with them. The Pruses, a couple of A nets. What else? If you guys did not hear me say this, a hick top. An old school one, the one that you actually had to figure out which screws you got in a big huge bag to, which screws went where.
I mean, my big thing is I wanted to keep the stock fan because I always thought it actually blows fairly hard the way it is. Because I actually dial mine back a lot of times when I'm doing prints because it's almost too efficient.
Well, the stock fan, as you get the printer out of the box, blows in the right direction. I mean, if you look at the Pruses have a single front facing fan, and those printers have absolutely no trouble with, they have absolutely no trouble with bridging or anything like that.
Right.
The thing that I didn't particularly care for on these, anyways, is I can't see the print with the stock fan unless I walk around to the side of it. When you've got a bunch of these in a row side by side, trying to just stick your face in between to look underneath is kind
Right.
of annoying.
That was the first thing that bothered me with the stock fan was I couldn't see the nozzle, and because every once in a while you'll stop extruding, you don't realize it because then you don't see it. You don't see the nozzle coming up off the part, so it's like, okay, that's not the best place for it. That's why I went with the one that I went with, and then I haven't had a problem with it since. Like I said, I don't have problems with bridging with the one-sided fan, which I thought I might. I was kind of concerned. I was like, well, I might have to try and figure out a remix or something, to put like the ring around it. But I've actually had really good prints that way, and I was actually surprised, in all honesty.
I've got a couple of ring types on the Wanhouse, and just testing the ducts and everything like that, there's a point where most of that air doesn't get all the way to the back of the ring anyways.
Right.
I've seen very few, and the very few nozzles that I've seen that do function correctly and blow enough air out of the full ring, it's too much air.
Right.
It was cooling, it was actually blowing enough to cool the bed off. And
Well,
hey,
my thing, like I said, I went to the bullseye on the Creality machines because that hot end needs it on both sides. I don't care. I don't know why it does, but it just needs it on both sides. If you put a ring on it, it screws up prints. So I didn't do that. And then I like the fact that the Fang that they had from Bullseye got both sides of it, and it did a nice cooling job on that hot end. But when we went to this one, I didn't know if that would work right or not. It was one of those weird, you just try and mess with it what you can.
Ooh, stream elements. Why is stream elements chatting for me? Stream Elements is another software for OBS that I tested a week ago, and it's
You got it
sneaky.
stuck in the system.
Okay, well, okay, that's just something else I'm going to add to the note list.
These are the things that go wrong with our stream as we do it. It's okay.
Well, I tried getting all of this stuff finished up because I thought today was Friday. Yay! That
Mhm.
that that affliction that is messing with everybody in the world. Don't say that word, folks, please. Um, yeah. Okay, that's another thing on my list to get rid of, and that's probably where some of the duplicates are coming from. I'll bet. That's easy enough to fix.
I was just impressed. Like I said, the only reason why, and he didn't post it himself, which I was surprised. He asked me to put it up. I was like, okay, I'll put it up for you. I don't care. Was when the Swedish Vapor is the guy to design that one,
Yeah,
and
Joel.
yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I was like, well, it's actually kind of sharp. So, and it put that fan out of my way, and I could see everything. I was like, thankfully, this is how I like to print. So, because that was before like Chan came out with his, and the other ones I saw with the side ducts just blocked everything still anyways. I was like, okay, this defeated the whole purpose. But it's personal preference, I suppose, like anything else.
Coffee sounds good. I will be right back. I'm going to flip you over to your
Full
page.
screen? The full screen page? And I'm on the big screen. Yay! Let me grab the link because I won't crash the stream because I'm not streaming it. Earl is. Give me 1 second. I have a link for it. I just have to pull it up. I usually have a bookmark, but I got so many windows open right now. It's just probably easier to do this. Let me find it because I have a bunch of stuff on different different handles and stuff. Let's see. Ah, okay. Yeah, this is the link for the one that I'm using. I've been messing around with some things. I made a bed handle, so I didn't, and then I scrapped that idea for a side handle. So, I don't think I've ever done messing with this printer with any of my printers, honestly, because it's just kind of feeds the addiction, I suppose. I do want to get a Genius. I really don't need one, but I like to be able to help you guys out with stuff. So, and not having it's kind of like a handicap because I can't go to it and say, yeah, well, this is this or this works this way. A lot of times, having to guess on what's going on doesn't always work. So, and then I kind of got a little carried away with modifications and put 32-bit boards on both of mine. And yeah, they're similar. In fact, now the hot end's going to be identical because they're using that Kraken style hot end, which I wish they'd have told us before people were breaking them, trying to get them off. But At least now they're kind of universal, so you could order one set of parts, which is nice. Because then you just have to deal with like the same kind of hot end would it works out well. I think it works out better, but like I said, it didn't tell us initially about it. So, and I think Earl's back now, so
Yep.
I'm gonna take a second because I gotta let the puppy back in. I'm right back. She'll keep barking, and then the neighbors will be unhappy because they're all home now.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, the Genius is the just the little brother to the Sidewinder. Just different bed size. I kind of disregard the blue injected plastic parts. They're functional, they work, they haven't given any problems. I've been using it since about November last year. Later
Yeah, I was
on,
telling him I wanted to get one just to be able to play with it. That way, I have firsthand knowledge. I know it's pretty much the same, but
the
there's
only
always little nuances with printers.
oh yeah, I think Cornfed. I think I remember you bringing that up
Yep.
because you said things were off center and everything, and the only reason at the time I knew that is because I accidentally did the same thing myself on one of my machines.
I accidentally linked the guy to. I thought we were talking on a Genius board, so I linked him to your Genius bed image instead of the X1. And he's like, "Well, how do I make this work?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? How do you make it work?" And then I realized I'm like, "Yep, I'm on the wrong page. I have to like eat a little crow on this one and redo it." Sorry.
New profiles. Part of the series that I'm going to be bringing to light here, now that I'm getting some of this other stuff done. A lot of the other stuff that I do is uh, miniature gaming, things like that. Uh, the other work that I do a lot of 3D design that is involved with gaming terrain and things like that, as well as jewelry. Uh, FDM printing and miniatures don't get along that well for my personal liking because, again, I'm a caster. I run and own casting foundries, and it's all about detail with me. FDM can't, for what I need, fit the bill. However, a lot of the mid-size miniature prints and things like that, the figures print okay on FDM and they're satisfactory for a lot of people. Um, the profiles that I've used for the miniatures that I have printed with FDM are fine with the defaults that I've released already, with an exception of two things: dropping down to 0.08 and changing the nozzle size to a 0.25. If you do those two things, you can dial in the defaults easy. As far as lithos and things like that, the guy that produces Luban, it's a piece of software that does some really awesome stuff for lithopanes and stuff like that. I'm trying to get him hooked into showing up and get some discounts for you guys for the software and stuff like that and everything. If you haven't checked it out, let me get that link for you. You guys check the software out if you haven't.
Please refrain from posting links. He don't want you to kill the feed again.
No, this will be a teeny one though.
Either that or he did something bad. I
No,
don't know. He got timed out. What the hell for?
it probably doesn't like going to probably doesn't like getting um, swapped over to Chrome, which that wouldn't surprise me either. Part of it is I'm running Streamlabs in straight mode and not studio mode. And normally in studio mode, you can set up the screen that you want to change over to, and if it's going to crash, it'll stop on that side. Well, I'm being lazy right now, so.
I think actually Cornfed actually posted a link to something and it ripped him out. Yeah,
Oh,
he actually posted the link I think you wanted to post. Lubon lithophane maker?
yep.
Yeah, that's what he was posting, and for some reason the auto moderator did something.
Yeah, I think right now, currently, I'm.
It didn't trust you. Nope. Didn't trust you. Sorry,
Oh,
bro.
the reason why right now the only people that can do links are or is me, and I think moderators are currently set to be able to.
Yeah, let me post a Thingiverse link for these guys because someone was asking for the duck that I got, so it let me do it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that worked great.
Yeah, the reason why is later on, once we get 50, 80, 100, or 200 people in on these streams, once I start doing them on a regular basis.
Yeah,
um,
you don't want to back up on it. No, I get you. It's easier to moderate that way.
I don't want to have to spank people. Now, one of the things that'll happen is with Twitch, once I set the loyalty up and stuff like that, as people subscribe and follow the streams, you'll build up loyalty points and stuff like that, and you'll be able to get that as a perk to be able to post links. Basically, what that means is, after you've been in on some streams and we know who you are and everything like that, we can trust you.
Oh,
So
so it's kind of pay to play, huh? Okay.
it doesn't cost anything to follow or
I'm
subscribe.
just making an example and
Yeah.
being funny. I'm not being serious.
Well, it's a nice system because that keeps somebody creating a bot account to basically come in and trash a stream just because. So
Right. Earl's not used to my sense of humor yet either, so we'll work on that.
yeah. Well, I'm just used to, is if you guys haven't been able to figure out on Facebook yet, I'm just used to having to explain myself no matter what I do. It's why did you scratch your ass?
Yeah,
Well,
well, I'm very. My wife would tell you that I'm very straight when I say stuff, and people think I'm serious when I'm not. So I don't know.
yeah,
She's like, "You always seem like you're serious." I'm like, "Okay."
yeah, that's the police officer and you walking up to a car and you're trying not to laugh your ass off because there's a.
There's
Uh,
been those days,
yeah, exactly.
and I've had actually a couple of good responses for why people were stealing that gotten off, speeding rather. Excuse me. I've let a couple people go on traffic tickets because they had a good excuse.
Best time I ever had was with a state trooper that pulled me over. Yeah, where my home was, I drove 80 miles one way because at the time my home was in northern Michigan, and I drove all the way down to Grand Rapids on these back roads. And the state trooper had gotten used to seeing me on a pretty regular basis whipping along these back roads and everything like that. And he just happened to, he was either training somebody or had somebody with him that he couldn't just, you know, kind of blow it off, but he ends up pulling me over. And I had literally waiting for the time it was ever going to happen because I had seen him on the hill I don't know how many times, and this is after 4 years. And I just had it sitting in my car waiting and ready to go. As soon as, the lights went on, I flipped in Sammy Hagar, I Can't Drive 55, and cranked it up. He comes walking up and he couldn't keep a straight face and everything, and he let me off with a warning and everything. But the cadet or whoever it was that he had in the car with him that came out and everything like that just didn't understand exactly what was going on. I wasn't begging for a ticket or anything like that, but I figured, well, all right, I'm busted, I'm caught. I've been a good boy, I've never gotten a ticket or anything like that. Last ditch effort, I'm going to try to be a little bit of a comedian with it, and it worked.
Right? Like I said, we're we're all in for a good laugh. Uh, and in fact, I don't know. You ever see Super Troopers?
Yep.
I had someone play the Biddy Bow Biddy Boo one.
Snozberries taste like
I mean,
snozberries.
I couldn't even write him one. I'm like, that was actually good. I got a chuckle.
Oh, you see what Scan posted?
Yeah, I heard that one too. That one actually made me laugh at one time too.
Well, the funny one that I'm seeing out there right now is people are putting face masks on when they get pulled over, and
Yeah,
they're not rolling the windows down and they're waving their arms and everything like that. It's like, no, 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 I'm infected.
right. I try to explain to him about that. Only thing that's gonna get you is a busted window and locked up. Because now you're gonna make him angry. Thankfully, I got out of doing that at the end of my career.
Yeah, if anybody's on Facebook right now, if they see Calvin on, give him a poke. Oh, candy bars. Yeah, one of these days we'll have what I call as a free for all stream, and we'll let anybody into the hangout.
We doing already? Oh, okay.
Well,
I don't know how the hell I got here then.
well, I'm kind of interested in testing the limits of how many people you can cram into a hangout and how quickly the cams will change over.
Oh yeah, it's fun. We used to do that back in the day. Did you overload the server?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just thankful that Google Hangouts is still up for this at this point.
Yeah, because Skype has its limitations at times.
Well, I have Skype. Skype is kind of limited to me and my family right now for the most part. It's on 24/7, and for those that don't know, my wife and son are in Hawaii. Um, Weird circumstances there, but especially given the current situation in the country, there isn't anything we can do about it. So I Skype with them every day, and we try to keep things as normal as possible. But I also keep it up 24/7 in case
Crap.
they need to get in touch with
Full
me.
of print.
Pardon?
I think my print just failed miserably. Yep. That's a waste of an entire plate. That's great.
Ouch.
Oh.
Is that a is that a face mask one or a face shield one or?
Yeah, it all of a sudden it's not it's printing in midair now. That's no fun. Let me see if I can fix this really quick.
Yep.
What a bummer. You actually gotta talk to them now.
Oh yeah, Yeah, to touch back on with what people were asking before, one of the other things I intend on doing, I do airbrushing. Um, that's working with the terrain and the miniatures and things like that. Um, I'll be doing that jointly through this show as well as my 3D studio show that will be going up as well. And now that it's the time of the year, resin printing. A lot of people have interest in resin printing and things like that. And if you can say that I've been doing one or the other longer, I've been doing resin printing a lot longer. I had exposure to it going all the way back to the 90s. So it's just been me waiting on the technology to catch up. Oh, you can't hear me now? That's weird. I didn't change anything. Yeah, I didn't change anything. Oh, it might have been. I had my face turned away from the microphone. I'm going to be. Oh, yeah, guys, it's a secondary bot plugin that I installed earlier today that I was testing, and for some goofy reason, when I uninstalled it, it didn't take it out of the YouTube stuff. Well, the chat delay, the 5 to/10 second chat delay is normal. It kind of has to be that way for right now. Um, the um, the other one, the old message popping up and everything, is that other chat bot deciding it's going to work. Well, the YouTube servers in the background are experience a lot of heavy traffic because nobody has anything better to do. Twitch just never seems to die. I prefer it as a streaming platform, and as we get a little more popular and we're getting used to having people come on and things like that, I would really prefer not streaming simultaneously to YouTube, and just streaming through Twitch, and then afterwards upload the streams to YouTube. YouTube has, well, without a better way of saying it, YouTube has outright been an asshole to content creators the last year. So there's a lot of other neater things that you can do with Twitch that you just can't do with YouTube. And despite the fact that I enjoy putting things like the streams together and stuff, um, I also kind of want to make it cool for you guys too. I don't want to uh, just basically run a show and it's going to be whatever I say it's going to be. It's going to be something that the community can kind of shape and mold into something so that everybody gets something out of it. Future reference, also too, from time to time we'll have other guests on as well. I'm kind of expecting Taz and a couple others to be regulars all the time, but I'm working with artillery as well, and we may even see the artillery gang popping in for some of the streams.
Oh, something went awry. Failure is an option.
Let's see, to make it clear for everyone, after 1 through 9 mesh bed leveling, what else can you use to save to EPROM? Um, If I'm not mistaken, I think I've got on the screen, there is also a save to EPROM on that screen as well. Again, as I've explained to a few other people, though, it, I really wish there was a way around not having both on the same firmware at the same time because, but it's giving you options. Again, mesh bed leveling is for if you got a wavy ass bed, and the baby stepping, which I hate calling that, it's basically a live Z, is really for if your bed is relatively flat and you're just trying to tweak that first layer. But I tried coding it in so that, and I couldn't do it any other way without it not being safe. If you start baby stepping, it alters the mesh. Or if you start mesh bed leveling again, it alters the EPROM for your live Z. Yeah, without letting too much of the cat out of the bag, and yeah, you heard it here. In the future, and don't hold me to this as far as timing goes, but Artillery is working on their next iteration of printers already. I can't tell you right now which ones, but their desire for the future is their next batches of printers are going to be 32-bit, and well as possibly some larger TFT screens. So my input on all of that, what I can tell you is I'm really pushing hard to get some of these core features put into the firmware for release with these printers instead of the trouble that we've all had to go through to deal with it as we have so far.
Yeah, the whole EPROM thing. I don't know why they blocked that.
Well, I do. I've had a lot of conversations with their engineers already, and I do understand why they opted out of doing that. You guys got to remember that, okay, just say the Facebook groups, and even a small percentage of the people on the Facebook groups is actually a really small percentage of their customer base. They've sold thousands of these printers to people who aren't even on YouTube or Facebook,
Right.
and their desire going, their initial desire was to provide printers that worked out of the box. That should be the ultimate goal for any of the manufacturers. Corn, am I talking pretty loud to you? You got me up on volume, and Taz, you got me up pretty good on volume too.
Yeah, but you have a tendency of turning away from the mic, so
Yeah,
you got to get you a lapel mic, man.
I have a lapel mic. I just didn't hook it up. It was all this other voice meter shit that I was working with earlier today. There, you can't see it, and there's no way you guys are going to see the screen, but I'm practically giving the microphone a blowjob right now. So, the things I do for you guys.
I'm taking screenshots, just saying.
Shit.
Got my finger on the trigger.
No, I moved the microphone in front of my face this time. I had it off to the left a little bit, and I was kind of hanging my head in defeat with this silly ass mixer. So,
Yeah, you guys unfortunately can't. I can see what he's doing. So he was actually turning and looking at something on the computer screen because he has a quite large screen like I do, and he was just turning away from the mic. So it was probably why I was drowning out a little bit.
Yeah, it's not exactly a omnidirectional mic.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Anyway,
leave that one alone.
yeah, you better. Um,
Because he's hiding behind his printers right now. I'm just saying.
yeah. Additionally, like I said, artillery's moving forward with the types of printers they want to come out with. They're working on other designs and things like that, and there's nothing clear roadmap wise as far as whether or not they're going to approach full blown upgrades for the older models. There's two schools of thought regarding that being economically feasible for them or not. I'm just this relates to the firmwares and things like that too. I know a lot of you guys want to play with the 2.0 Marlins. There's no reason to. The 2.0 Marlin has nothing in it that benefits these printers at all.
Nope.
The early releases of Marlin, just like any other versions with it, the first few releases of a major number upgrade are a train wreck, which is exactly what has happened so far. That was
It's
something.
printers today. This is fun.
Pardon?
Sorry, I'm complaining about my printers.
Oh,
Today, it's gonna right when I'm live streaming is when all my printers go and decide to do weird stuff. I am so done with that print though. The print's finally just ticked me off enough where I'm mad at it. We all have bad days. Even guys that do it all the time. I'm not even gonna get up for this one. I'm gonna let it sit on a build plate until it cools. I'm just trying to get the masks done because I know this weekend the guy I was making these for needs to pick them up. So
right.
can't pick up these because this won't work well.
No.
I don't know. It got jammed or something because it like told. I mean, this is.
Some assembly required.
I don't think there's enough crazy glue in my house for this. Just don't put that 5 pound spool on top of that gantry because you will not be happy
Yeah, let me
if you
give you
do.
guys let me give you guys just a little peek. Hang on here, I'll be right back.
Because that'll really ruin a print. That'll just wreck your day. Yeah, that'll work good. Reverse Bowden will work good. Just remember, don't. We had a guy that posted a picture of it, and I don't know why he did it. He put it under the table trying with a reverse Bowden, and you're asking for that stepper to try and pull it, and it's not going to work. So being alongside should work fine, but ideally up top and above would be the perfect way because of the way it feeds. So
Yeah, at any point in time, there's usually about 6 or 8 rolls hanging above the printers, depending on what I'm doing for production. And
wish I had the space for that, man. You see all the toys I have in the background. This is not even half of what I got. So
yeah,
I have no wall space. I have a collection problem, I think. I collect a lot of things.
well, the other wall is half of the wall's pretty much loaded up with maker boxes, just for decorative purposes. We've been subscribing to the maker boxes ever since they started, so there's like what, 3 years worth now,
Okay.
something like that, and there's probably about 600 filaments that I haven't tried yet. But
I wanted to. I just thought you never get enough to make a real print out of half of it.
yeah, my thing is if I'm going to print something, I want it to be functional. And
You know, I don't think there's a problem with the ribbon cables, other than they're not lockable like they used to be.
that'll be a
And
subject. That'll be a subject that I'll hit on as soon as I come back. I got to hit the bathroom. I'll be right back in a minute here.
maybe that, and I think they probably should reduce the heater cartridge draw. I think they went with I want to say it's a 60 watt. They probably should have went with like a 40 watt. But now I have a version 1 and version 2, so I didn't get a lot of the problems that have been cropping up since they switched to the non-lockable ribbons. And from my understanding, the reason why they did that was because people that never used a ribbon system, I mean, I've been using them since, like the old days of computing, so I knew how it worked. And from what they were telling me was that people were just yanking on them or trying to push them in and not realizing there's a little black locking mechanism on it. So they reverted to the standard stick in, which now you got to print up a strain relief so it doesn't pop out on you over time from going back and forth. So, I mean, the ribbons, that's when they had the most problems, I think. I think they shot themselves in the foot by getting rid of locks. But unfortunately, like Earl was saying, we're a small minority on the pages, and the vast majority of people that they get complaints from are direct, so we're not seeing it. And the one of the engineer guys was telling me that they were getting constant problems with that and having to send out ribbons to those people who just yanked them out. And that's where it went really bad. And then they changed over when they did, like, I want to say in the middle of 3 and 4 is when they switched to the newer PCBs that didn't have the locks in them, and that's been half our problems with stuff. At least on the Facebook arena is where we get most complaints. So I don't know. Like I said, their call center and their support guys are telling me that they have less complaints now than when they had the locks, so they're probably not going to go back. But I think that it never would, if you didn't have it in right with the locks, it wouldn't lock down properly, so you couldn't get it anchored. So you knew it was in or it was out. It made it really easy, at least for guys that used it before, to know if the ribbon worked or not. So I don't know. But like anything, we all can find something we don't like about something, and run with it. So overall, I think it holds up pretty well. And there's some guys that, I mean, unfortunately, some of them are going to get a problem and then they get discouraged, and that's what we don't want in this community, is anybody being discouraged from printing. So it's a double-edged sword trying to figure out how to make the best printer you can at the best price and have everybody happy. And you're not going to have everybody happy, obviously. We've all seen it in different posts, different Facebook things, and other sources of people not being happy with it, wanting to change everything. So I mean, I went to the 32-bit boards, so that's where I was at with it. I don't know if we lost the stream. We buffering. What the hell happened? Oh, there it goes. Oh, we crashed. Yep, crashed. Hi. Yeah, it's not helpful when you just come shooting in here and sit down. Well, he lost the stream, so I mean, I'm talking to him, but he's not there. He had to go to the washroom, so when the stream crashed, then I can't do anything with it.
Some girl on Facebook was standing up for Carol Mason, and I got into a fight with her on Facebook. If you only want to wait to agree with me, well, basically they're all terrible, right? That's what I said. I said basically Joe was terrible and she was terrible. Like they both belong. But all the money they like put into these lawsuits could have been put into the animals and making the animals more comfortable.
Yep.
And that's what I said. I said Carol Mason put all that money into lawsuits, but she didn't make the zoo. Like,
Plus, my thing is that she's supposedly for the animal rights, but yet she's not releasing any of them into the wild
well, she was
or
like,
repopulating. I mean, you have all these extra animals. Why aren't you repopulating the population where they're having trouble? No, you are doing that BS. So
she was like, Bailey, it's called a sanctuary. I said, Amy, it's the same thing as a zoo. The only thing that's different is she doesn't pay taxes on it and she doesn't pay her workers. Like otherwise, like she has less room than most zoos do in her little sanctuary. I'm like, I wholeheartedly agree on like not breeding them for them to grow up and like get killed. But like she's doing the same thing all these zoo owners are doing. Like the same thing. They're all bad. But she's like, if I see one more person um post another Joe meme or say that Joe was a good person, you could just delete me right now. And then someone, but you must be related to Carol Mason. I laughed right after it, and I could tell she got hostile because I commented was like, "Hey, I see your point, but like she's just as bad as all of them. Like these are all terrible people. Like you should be picking a
there
side."
isn't one that's you can pick the side on because they're all jerks.
And that's what I'm saying. And she wasn't getting it. She was like, "Well, Carol's in a sanctuary and this and this." I'm like, you're not getting it.
Because she called it a sanctuary, she still operated it like a zoo, did she not?
Thank you.
That's all you got to say right there. She still operated as a zoo. You just couldn't touch the animals. So yeah, they couldn't have human interaction of any kind, and she wasn't breeding cubs for that purpose. But was she breeding cubs? You don't know for sure.
Plus, her space had less space than Joe's exotics did.
Right. And like I said, her animals, half of them were like caged up, and she's talking about animals being neglected, and she got a fucking cat sticking its head through a wire cage to get food. Hello, pot. I'm a kettle.
Well, yeah, that's what I was trying to tell that Amy girl. Like, yo, we're all bad. But I'm not surprised in that case is Carol Bason's side. And then I messaged my friend who's like really good friends with her, and I was like, bro, your homie is agreeing with Carol Basin. Please help her.
Sorry, I gotta try and keep these people going while he's gone.
I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah, our stream isn't. It died.
Um, I just checked Twitch and YouTube both. It's up.
Um, oh, maybe I'm wrong. I have a conversation with my daughter and it's up. That's always good. Sorry, guys. Oh, that's not going to be good.
Yeah, you lagged a little bit, but
I don't know. It's strange. Oh, anyhow, I thought it died, so my bad.
who knows? maybe too many people are slamming Pornhub.
Well, I had my daughter come in here and have a conversation with me, so I'm sure it sounded really great.
That's okay. That's all right. There will be times where my dog will come in and she'll start bitching at me to feed her. She sounds like an old woman screaming at you. So
I don't know if it like buffered or what it did. It might have buffered. You know what? I bet you it buffered because we're going over a certain amount of time. YouTube likes to buffer those.
yeah, we're going on 50 minutes right now for
Yeah.
this. Yeah, so people were asking about upgrade path. Who was that?
Yeah, I was actually going over it, so I mean, I kind of covered it to some degree.
Well,
You know,
artillery's stance on it. They haven't been very clear, but it sounds to me like uh, when you're looking at this from a business viewpoint, there's uh, situationally where it may not be feasible or economical to do so. Um, right now, as it stands, we're able to, throw just about any 32-bit board in these printers. Um, as far as upgrading the ribbon framework, they haven't given me any indication that they're going to be getting away from that. However, I think they're going to continue to refine the PCB boards. Now, um, I heard from the other room, I heard you mentioning the fact that the people that are really having problems with the ribbons, there's not as many of them as people would like to think. Um,
right?
the people that do have the problem, they don't want to be obviously in that crowd. Nobody does. But it's not as much of a problem as everybody thinks that it is. And comparing it to the amount of units sold and that are actively out in the field working right now, the ribbon cable problem that everybody's ripping on um, is really small. And the fixes that we've introduced for my early hot gluing, hot gluing the ribbon connections has been working fine. Those two printers that you're looking at in the video right now, they have yet to burn a ribbon cable up, and they have both been working since June of last year, practically 5, 6, and 7 days a week.
Yeah, I think the big thing is with people that have a problem with, like I was telling these guys earlier, is if you haven't worked with a ribbon, you don't understand it. Most of these people have never like rebuilt a computer or played with a standard printer or scanner that uses a ribbon, or even the CNC machines. So they're not grasping how the ribbon are supposed to be, and you know when they put it together, they just plug and play, and it doesn't work that way. You have to make sure it's flush. You got to make sure that everything's aligned properly and it's not snagging anywhere. You know, it isn't just put it in and forget it. You got to keep an eye on it, especially when it's newer. There's
Well,
that too.
well, to be fair, okay, the way back in June of last year, I'm not pulling fame or anything like that, but way back when people were first complaining about the ribbons and everything like that, that is when I had my first and only ribbon cable die. And that was on the X axis, and I could tell why. I was running the thing at 120 or 130, and the X was smacking around. So, and it's like, well, okay, we got to shore this up a little bit. So that's when I first introduced the first strain relief for it. But ever since I put those on, I can crank those things all the way up as fast as I want to with it and haven't had a problem.
Yeah, the first printer I got was a version 2, if you want to go with versions. And let's see, the biggest problem I had was the PCB and the main board went.
Yeah.
And I still bought a version 1 on a deal. So just from talking with them, I still was convinced it was, and I bought the printer because of the ribbons. I mean, that was the main draw for me was I didn't have 5,000 dangling wires or a braided cable going across my gantry, getting in the way of everything, and having to tie it up with zip ties and glue and all the other happy stuff, putting cable chains and all this junk on it to make it work.
Yep, same here. Um, the just to the right of the printers that you're looking at, there's a Wanhao D9 sitting there that also uses ribbons. Um, However, everything is running. Um,
Did they ever put that one out?
yeah,
I never seen it. I'll be honest, I didn't see that one.
yeah. That's the. Let me flip the camera over and you get at least a distance shot of it. Hang on here.
Next time I'll mic my daughter so we can have some fun conversations about TV shows. I didn't realize that used a ribbon.
What's that now? Sorry.
So I didn't realize that used a ribbon.
Yep. Now it's using the more sturdy. That's very similar to your old IDE cable ribbons,
Okay.
and they work fine. Just that Wanhao's design sucks. Their extruders are horrible. And okay, I had a lot of input on the design of that printer, and
So you're saying that's why it sucks? No, I'm just kidding.
no, everything is great. Everything was great until it came down to the extruder. They wanted to go with their proprietary extruder, and tried talking them into a E3D, even if it was going to be an E3D clone. No, they wouldn't do it. That's one of Wanhao's things is they want to take the hard approach to everything. No, that printer has the same build space as the artilleries do. That's a D9 300, yet it weighs 65 pounds.
That's a bit much.
You want to talk about over engineering like crazy, and it's great. As you can you can kill a horse with it. The stepper motors, you can just kind of peek to the back of that printer. You can see that it's using the bigger NEMA 17s.
Right.
It's got duals. Um, the downside is the X gantry. I tried talking them into a design similar to what you see on the Sidewinders, but they ended up going with that silly ass 20 by 20 stuff. And it's almost like a toothpick running across the X gantry. And the extruder is heavier than what's on the Sidewinder.
Yeah,
It's,
that seems kind of weak.
yeah. And the stabilization bars, that was a secondary item that they gave away for free to people that bought the first iterations of those. Um, those things weigh half as much as the Sidewinder.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a beefy machine, and that's the one we're going to be ripping up and putting the um, Nifty extruder. That's that worm drive extruder, and the a mosquito hot end on that.
Okay.
So that's going to be a project printer a little bit further down the road. And case point, you can also see that has a rigid bed. Those are standoffs. Those aren't springs. Now the
I
um,
got a hardened nozzle, so I don't swap them that often.
okay, nozzles. Let's see. I think Most of my machines that I print PLA with, I get, if it's just straight PLA that I'm doing, whether they need it or not, I swap them about every 6 months for $1.
You're still just using the brass ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went in for the micro Swiss, and I really like them.
Now, I like the Micro Swiss nozzles. If I was going to say a brand that I'd go after, if I was so inclined to do so, when it comes down to working with other hotter materials, yeah, I'll go with the Micro Swiss. But for the most part, if you're just doing PLA and everything like that, the nozzle market is another racket as far as I'm concerned. You
Mm,
should be you should be look
no,
you should be looking over your printer once a week. Okay, if you're printing with it on a regular basis, you should be looking it over a week, and that includes looking over the nozzles to see how well the nozzles are doing. If they need to be changed, it only takes 5 minutes.
right?
The I cringe every time I see. Well, I tried changing my nozzle and I broke my thermistor wires. I broke this and I broke that. You just got to learn how to do it without.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I've done it.
We all have. I've done it myself,
In my race for power and glory.
before you have that happen, that's why you should have spares handy. They're only a
I
few
had spares
bucks.
handy, so
Yeah.
I had the foresight to do that one. I'm just saying, I've done it. I slipped with the damn. In fact, I actually tore up a whole micro Swiss hot end by accident one time on the Creality. I think
I was all geeked for the Hemera too when it came out, and I had two of them, and I have yet to decide to even bother putting them on the printers because I'm kind of sorry, folks. I let some of you guys be guinea pigs because I just don't have the time all the time to play with as much of this as I'd like to, writing firmwares and everything and profiles.
the only thing was, I mean, I honestly I bought the artillery, even though it's a clone Titan. I bought it for the Titan,
Yeah.
so it was hard for me to want to change that. Just is beyond me.
Well,
Um,
the only reason I
Dialing him in, and then and the guys that normally do it, I'm gonna say flat out, the guys that normally go to the trying to switch the hot ends over are the guys that are coming from a Creality, and they're used to a certain way it's working with a Bowden system. They're not used to the direct drive.
well,
You get the guys from like Prusa who have a direct drive already and things like that. They normally don't switch them. They'll change some of the parts, but they keep the basically the same setup.
the Hemera straight reels you back to a straight V6 nozzle and flow system. The whole idea and reasoning behind having a volcano hot end is so you can push plastic really fast.
Right.
Fortunately, with the Hemera, you do have the ability to swap out for a volcano hot end, which is my recommended path if you're going to bother doing that. The thing
But
that
now
I
you're losing gantry height though, aren't you? Aren't you
no,
losing the height on with that?
no, not really. I mean,
I thought you were losing a good portion of your height with that setup.
no, you lose some. I think somebody was saying that they got it down to like 10 millimeters or something like that.
That's not too bad. I thought it was far worse. I'll be honest. I
If
was like,
Well, again, part of that has to do with the people who are making the mounts.
right.
I've only loosely looked at some of the mounts that are available out there, and the reason I won't use them is because I have the ability to machine and make them myself here. And no, I'm not going to be making one to release to the public anytime soon. I don't even want to put the Hemeras on the machines because I'm not seeing any noticeable print quality difference. I get good print quality off of the uh, Titan clone that we have on these machines already. And I like to think that it has nothing to do with being frugal, actually. I just don't like wasting time if I don't have to.
Well, I don't mind to tinker. I want to have a gain for tinkering it. That's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I don't want to just take it apart to take it apart.
And
I want to see some kind of significant reason and outcome from when I take it apart and fix it.
I'll go a little Ted Nugent and say, bless all the little monkeys that want to tinker with their machines and play with upgrades and try to engineer things for themselves and things like that. I don't have anything against that. It's the only time I draw the line is when they start perpetuating the myth or the fallacy that, well, you're not going to get good prints off of these machines unless you do this.
Right. Yeah, that aggravates me to no end because it's like it's your opinion. I give you that, but when you start telling new people who just got the printer and never even learned how to print yet that you need to upgrade the BL Touch and the Hamera, it's like, would you just stop telling people that?
And that's
Let the
what
guy learn the printer.
that's what throws Calvin into a tailspin, and he's a lot more vocal about it.
Yeah, he is. He has a couple people that are not fond of him because of that too. It's funny, but
And that's okay. I mean, people can have different opinions and things like that. And realistically, on my end, um, I'll say experience has a little bit to do with it because the way I do things and everything like that. But at the same time, I run a business, and at any point in time, I have schedules that I have to keep these printers on, both from my personal schedules as well as business schedules and things like that. And I don't tolerate printers going down for we'll just say engineering problems or design problems and things like that. Any of the issues or problems that I've had to deal with the artilleries, anyways, which is a subject we're trying to stay on, anyways, they haven't given me any grief. A lot of the newer people that are being brought into this right now have no idea what it's like or what printers were like back in 2012.
yeah, right.
If you think there's
You
a
want to talk about tinkering? There's a lot of that going on.
if you think that there's a run on things like IPA alcohol right now and stuff like that right now, you should have seen the great painter's tape deficiency of 2013 and 2014.
And there's guys that still use it.
Yeah.
Fucking painter's tape all over a nice bed. It's like, really?
How are you guys? How are all you guys out there finding filament right now? Are you guys ordering filament off of like Amazon and places like that? Are you seeing a lot of lag in shipping and stuff like that? Yeah, see, some people thought ahead.
Well, I thought ahead and then I started printing the PPE stuff and I'm starting to deplete things. And then I got in on one of those supposed deals and I still haven't gotten it yet. I'm like, gee, I'm glad I didn't need anything right away. They messaged me back, oh, we ran out of boxes. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. You offered a code to sell this stuff, knowing people would order it, but you ran out of boxes.
Yeah.
So glad I did that one.
I haven't experienced any delays with Amazon. I get Amazon shipments like every day or every other day here, just for a lot of things regularly.
Well, and I think the part of that is because they got it like a disclaimer on their stuff now. Like I got Prime, I
Yeah.
admit it. And you used to see like you'd have it the next day. now it tells you it'll be like 2 or 3 or even a week later, possibly. But it still comes fairly fast from what I've seen.
Yeah,
So,
within 2 or 3 days of the extended.
but I think the way the PPE thing has been going, I think there's a run on filament because I noticed I'm having a delays in my orders, or the stuff that I normally use is out of stock. So I don't know. But I'm still waiting on my 10 pounds that I couldn't find a box for.
Well, I've got, I don't know, maybe about 30 or 40 rolls here, but I maintain a pretty big stock of that stuff. And if it really comes down to it, there's a lot of rolls of stuff that companies have sent me to field test form and things like that. That if I was so inclined to start printing up PPEs and stuff like that, I'd probably start using that stuff for it. But I just haven't had the time. I'm in a good place here. I don't have to go out into public. I could probably stay here without going into public for about 2 months before I'd
Hmm.
actually have to go out.
Right.
So that's the advantage of working from the same place where you live, folks.
Well, I had nothing going on, and then I made commitments to this stuff, and then all of a sudden I got orders. I was like, seriously? I've been like slow, nothing going on. I'm like, okay, I'll. I mean, now I'm sitting here doing nothing. Like, I don't like it to have I don't like it being quiet in this office. I'll admit it. I like the printers going for some reason. And as soon as I started with that, it was like all of a sudden the orders started coming. I'm like, okay.
Speaking of which, that reminds me. Hang on, I'll be right back again.
But I think the disclaimers was put up to discourage guys from just buying stuff when they're home, which you would think that they would still want to encourage it, but I guess they didn't want to have a run on all their stuff. I mean, I know the big delays they're having stuff with is more like the cleaning supplies, the food items, and then I don't think the regular stock of like filament's going to be an issue. But if I keep doing this kind of stuff, um, I get the LEDs working with the MKS. I'm still playing with the soldering of a 3-pin one instead of the four because with I have the TFT Dual 35, so the pins I would wind up using for it are occupied. So I want to try and get the pixel LEDs working, but I've been so busy with other prints and then trying to fix another printer that's been in the bane of my existence that I bought before the artilleries that I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I mean, I'd like to finish that project eventually. Now, what was it on? I got it to work slightly, so it actually lights up with the blue LED and the red LED on the other one. So it half works, but as soon as I put the um the newer TFT that I got for that one, because the one that's working with it doesn't have the dual TFT on it. I have an old Ender attached to it, so those open pinouts in the auxiliaries are there that I could borrow from. But eventually, it isn't a game breaker for me. My big thing was being able to do dual color and not have that M600 stop in my firmware from the TFT. So that's the LED was like, yeah, it's nice, but it's not an end all be all. So there wasn't a big hurry for it. Yeah, the protected error pin. That's another fun one. And like I said, I found. I think I got one sitting here somewhere. I found a 3-pin LED that does it, but I haven't got it soldered up yet. So hopefully I'll get it done.
Well, I've been doing everything I can to hold off on getting some of the new MKS boards and a new LCD,
Right.
knowing what I know about some of the future designs coming out and things like that, but also in part of what I'm doing here is maintaining the machines in a relatively stock fashion.
Right. I just got the big thing was being able to do the filament swaps.
Yep.
So I was annoyed when I swapped one of the TFTs already. And I didn't think nothing of it when artillery came out. I didn't think they'd be the same. I figured by now, because when I bought the previous one for my Ender, I mean, you're talking that's an older board, so I didn't think that they would have the same board on this one. I figured they'd have worked out the kinks somewhere along the lines, and I guess they didn't.
Uh, Corn, what I can tell you is yes. um, the
I can confirm nor deny.
the things are being worked on. They are very reluctant to release any information, and this has to do with the environment that they're in China right now. So um, they're being secretive and quiet about things, but this much I can tell you: they're not going to drop a bomb in a month and say, "Oh, we're changing everything over to 32-bit. We're, this and that." Um, I have some news that I'd really love to be able to tell you guys and everything like that. And I'll just say this is going to be a pretty exciting year for artillery and people that like to work with their printers. Um, I'll also say too that they're going to kick some of the other companies' asses. That's all. I'll leave it at that. I'll throw on a little bit of Forrest Gump right there. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I just couldn't wait because it was like I had a whole bunch of projects I wanted to do, and it was like, well, if I'm gonna bother playing with the TFT upgrade, I might as well just get the board because it was a combo deal. I couldn't pass up.
The thing that
I
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'd like to kept it stock just to play because I wanted to, I'd like to, be able. like even using your firmware. I would have loved to have been able to use your firmware, but I wasn't patient enough to wait for the M600 fix to come through. So
Right. Well, me and
I figure when it comes out, you'll make firmware for it, so I'll be okay.
yeah, me and or my firmwares will be on the printers when they're released.
That would be ideal.
Oh, God, I need to get my little house oops GIF and be able to use that. Oops. Seriously though, no, I desperately wanted to start playing with these new boards that were coming out too and everything as well. But um, I, I'll dispel a myth. Um, I Artillery does not send me free printers. I buy everything. The relationship that I have with them, I won't accept freebies from Artillery. So that way, that keeps me on the level with them. I don't feel that I owe them anything, and also they don't feel that they're obligated to me for anything. So,
Yeah, Scanjo. No, the M600 doesn't work with anybody's firmware because the TFT is designed around the maker base board, and for some reason it ignores those commands no matter what you do. Someone claimed they have a workaround, and I've yet to see anybody produce proof.
The only
Something like this would be proof.
the only way around it that I've managed to pull off, and to me it's not the greatest of solutions.
That would be proof.
I use Simplify 3D, and that involves processes. But all that basically means is that you're basically stopping the print with Simplify 3D, and you're technically just doing a filament change. You still have
Right.
to do it manually. Okay, so it's not the greatest of solutions. And multi-material isn't exactly at the top of their list as far as being on the radar right now.
Right.
I know other companies like the Palette, and even I seen somebody was hooking up a Prusa MMU to one of the Sidewinders, and I didn't get a chance to follow that as closely as I would have liked to see if he managed to pull it off or not.
I think he did. I
Well,
just, I'm not fond of that system.
I was just going to say, sorry, Joseph, but the MMU sucks.
I thought so. I looked at that and like, no, I'm not going to invest in that.
And
And then
that's
the palette. The palette's a great idea, but then you're paying as much as you would for another printer, and you still got to wait for it to slice, and then it has to be programmed. So it's like, I don't know.
if people think I've had hands on with the pallets as well. Pallet is they're just up in Canada, just north of me here. One of the other guys that was hanging out with me a little while back, he's also worked very closely with them, and he's got a couple of them at his place. I wasn't impressed, and the reason why is I personally feel that a color change solution needs to be built into the printer design.
Right.
These third party things that are out there, hey, again, going Ted Nugent, bless the little monkey's hearts for trying to come up with a solution that you can throw on another printer, but you're you're not going to get a turnkey solution, and the programming and setup and potential problems that you have with the palette, it's too much for me to want to deal with. And uh, you guys know how crazy I go with changing things, like the firmware and doing the printer profiles and everything else. Um, if it's going to make me lazy, people who are taking on the challenge of doing it and everything like that, more power to you and everything like that. But it's not for me. I want functional working prints the same day. Multi-extruder is probably the way to go. There's a lot of printer manufacturers out there right now that have got good working multi-extruder designs that are working fine. It's as users, people need to uh, talk with the companies and support the companies and work with the companies and let them know what they want. Like with artillery, I'm sure if artillery felt that it was going to be economically feasible for them to come out with one, and even if they were, and I knew I couldn't say so, um, the you just need to let them know that there's interest in it. Oh, yes. What can I do for you?
Hmm.
What? What? I'll be right back. My wolf daughter is telling me that I need to give her something to eat or to drink. I'll be right back.
Have a good one, Cornfed.
Night, Corn.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Um,
I don't have any thoughts on the hick tops because I don't have one. So
I think it was. I think Calvin has one. I've seen them. I've looked at them. They contacted me some time ago about getting one of their models here, and it might have been that one, but I turned it down. Yeah, there'll be an announcement. We'll probably be streaming again an actual stream tomorrow, Corn. So just watch the groups for the notification or whatever, or I'll try to see to it that Twitch and YouTube will give people notifications. Have a good one. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're going to lose quite a bit of travel if you're going to go with a multi on the same axis printers. Then them kind of, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of those. Now the tool changer ones that I've seen are kind of neat, but they're still out of my price range. So, and then the other ones where they're doing the multi materials where you have to do a purge. That to me is just wasting filament. I'm sorry. I'd rather take the time and just make one print and then paint it because it's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper in the long run. But that's why I swapped over to the 32-bit and the dual TFT because I could actually get the M600 command to work and do nice prints. Now you still can do a dual print per se with a filament swap if you want to. The only problems I ran into doing, and I've done it. I think I have one somewhere I did. Let me see if I got it sitting here. And I had a problem with it when I was doing it. Was this one? This one was on a stock machine without anything going on, and I actually got it accomplished. But what had happened was I got little spots where it pulled off and peeled off the whole print because while I was swapping, it stays hot and it starts pooling up a little bit. So then when you put the next one in, you don't have time to purge. That's why I like the M600 because it actually takes the carriage and brings it off the print and up to the front. You can do a purge, get all the old filament out, and it's not burning up your print while you're waiting. But you can cheat with the artillery and make it do that. But you have to be careful because if you push too hard, you're going to push some of that filament out, and then it's going to drag all over your print, the old color that you had to begin with. So what I would do is I'd find a spot where I knew it was going to be indiscriminate and do a pause command and then feed the filament and know that the next layer was still going to be kind of a mix of the color and then the next one should get to the actual filament I put in. So I'd give myself a little distance. So I'd go just before where I really wanted that color to show up just so I didn't have an error. So you still can get around it with this printer. You just have to be creative.
Just a quick interjection. I'm due to have a meeting with artillery relatively soon. And one of the things that I'm working on is trying to get them to be a little more open about some of the things that they're working on and information that we're going to be able to give you guys as far as their roadmap. There's a lot going on in China right now, and again, the ecosystem and culture that they have there. All of the companies there are fighting for to stay in business, and everything from industrial espionage to just people ripping off others designs. We just have to kind of work around that, but I'm hoping to have some good news for everybody here pretty soon to kind of perk everybody's interest and let them know what kind of directions that they're going to be going in. But I've got to involve myself with these meetings and stuff first. So I'm hoping that the stream doesn't bump. I'm going to just technically throw up what's called studio mode on my end, and hopefully it doesn't interrupt the stream because I want to see if I can work with this or not. Okay, it appears everything's good so far. Yeah, okay, we're good.
Sorry.
Ooh, it doesn't like that. Ooh. Yeah, okay.
Well, I don't know. My YouTube is kind of like not refreshing,
That doesn't
but
su-
that could be me. Who knows?
that doesn't surprise me in the least bit. Yeah. Okay, Scan. Take it easy. Thanks for showing up. Yeah, see, most of the problems are tending to be with YouTube, and if I can avoid it, I'd really like to
Take care,
avoid.
Scan.
Pardon?
I was
Oh,
saying take care, Scan. I didn't get a chance to answer. I was too busy clicking on stuff. Sorry.
yeah, we'll be doing another stream tomorrow, more of a formal stream with some topics, things like that. I'll be letting people know a lot sooner too. This was kind of a last minute deal because I thought it was Friday, so the real Friday will happen tomorrow.
This is a fake Friday.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll actually get to see Earl. You never know.
Yeah, it's just me trying to get the cameras all straightened out.
I know it just looks like I'm talking to myself.
We need a cardboard Calvin that I can throw up in the
Right?
center.
I asked for it, man. I want to at least talk to Calvin.
Another little inside joke
I
there.
wasn't doing the Max Headroom thing all by myself here.
Yeah,
I even had a conversation with my daughter when I thought we were off cam.
yeah.
Well, I don't think I said anything bad, so
Nah, nah, we're good. Let's see. Who all do we got? We says we still got 4 people hanging out right now, and you're probably one of them on Twitch.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 3. There's a couple of lurkers on YouTube still too. So hi,
Yeah,
lurkers.
that's fine.
Yeah. Well, it could be the my own batch of infiltrators that I have on my YouTube channel.
I don't know. If you get my one hater for every YouTube video I put out, he's probably here. I don't know why he hates me. I don't know what I did to you. Whatever it was, I'm sorry. Stop. Give me a like instead of a hate, but it really doesn't matter much. But
Yeah.
just still keep watching anyways.
Well, we've gone a little over 2 hours actually.
Yeah,
So
it's been a pretty long stream.
yeah. Well, I broke the recordings down, and after we're done here, which is going to be very shortly here, I gotta get some coffee and get something else to eat here pretty soon. My big thing was making sure everything's working, and now that we have the sound issue dealt with,
Yeah.
it'll be a while before I decide to play with that new mixer again. I don't think it's going to be necessary at this stage, so we'll just go from there. I've been keeping notes on things I got to fix and straighten out, so we'll take it and go from there. I've got 4 printers that I need to refresh and get them going too.
I got another one I got to fix again. That stupid project, that dumbass vase driving me nuts. Should never took that print. In my race for power and glory, I thought I'd pull it off, and I didn't. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why with the masks it got. I don't know if the filament got stuck or what happened. It started chewing up the filament, is why I wasn't. And then all of a sudden it started crashing into things because it was like half extruding, half not. I don't know. But even people that do this regularly don't get it right all the time. So we all know the frustration.
Yep. back, I refreshed the messages on the groups and I let people know if they wanted to come on for some live help, they could. Um, Apparently, nobody's listening. Well, it is Eastern Standard Time. It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning here. As far as
No, the printer already or is already. You don't need a bootloader for it. You just need to flash it.
right,
So you can either do it by hex, or you could do through Adreno, or you could do it through what is it, VSC with Platform IO is the way I do it. So yeah, you don't need to do any modifications. You can plug in USB and upgrade it, no problem. Which is a nice feature because I remember all my enders having to like put bootloaders on and hope it worked. And this is fine. This works perfectly.
I had about a dozen Crealities come through here over the course of the Ender 3, Ender 5, and the various iterations of the CR10. And the bootloader thing turned me off.
Yeah, real quick too.
That and Bowden, but that'll be another stream discussion. We'll save that. I'm just not a fan of Bowden. I've got a couple of TiVos here and a Wanhauer too that has Bowden.
It's like the new one that just came out. What's the new one that just came out that they? I can't believe they put a Bowden tube on it. I was like, really?
The CR10 Super Duper
No,
California.
it was somebody else did it, and it's a nice looking printer, except for that. It was like, really? You put all that time and effort in designing it perfectly, and they pretty much put a Creality hot end on it with a Bowden. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah,
you spent all that money on this research and development, and then you put that stupid thing on there.
I keep hearing them say that it's costs, and when I dug into it further, this is how I had it explained to me.
Okay.
Was that uh, it may be less expensive to use a direct drive extruder on a printer, but a lot of these companies like Creality, TiVo, and some of the other ones that are out there have stockpiles upon stockpiles of Bowden stuff that they need to get rid of.
Okay.
That's how I had it explained to me. I'll consider them credible sources, but that may be true, and it's
Made
not.
too many.
Well, I know with my experience with Wanhao, one of the things that people complain about the Wanhaus all the time is they have fans. Their 4020s and their 5020s die like on a regular
Yeah.
basis. You know, when you get a Wanhao printer, you better get yourself a 6 pack of fans. You know, shipped in with the printers at the same time. Um, when I brought this up at one of our meetings, it's like, well, we've got 750,000 of these fans, okay, in stockpile at our factory, and we're not, and they don't throw anything away.
Just use it on another printer. There you go.
I've been told too that in some cases, depending on how the companies are financed or funded, when it's not as easy in China to switch um, uh, contracted.
Production.
It's not as easy to switch suppliers.
Okay.
When you have a contract with a supplier, it's very difficult to get out of it. That's how their system works. That's how I had it explained to me. So if they're contracted with a company that is, say, supplying them with fans, if even if the company just starts putting out, you know, tens of hundreds or thousands of shit fans, you can't just say, well, we're not going to do business with you anymore. We're not going to finish our contract, and we're going to go with somebody else. They just can't do that easy in China.
Mm.
So
Yeah, that would cause a problem. You got to make it work then.
that's why I'm not in China right now, folks, is because I have no problem opening my mouth, and I have had the ability to go to China many times, both both for Wanhao, a couple of other companies, and even to go play with artillery. And nope. And it's a darn good thing I didn't towards Christmas time this year, which is when I was intending on going there and hanging out for a while. It's a darn good thing I didn't, because I'd probably be stuck there. And all of this other stuff wouldn't be possible. So I'd probably be rotting in a jail somewhere. Ted Nugent, you MFs, Ozzy Osbourne, War Pigs, MFs, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. So, folks, as far as the stream goes, I think I'm going to stop the stream here. I want to look over the recorded sessions of it and everything. I've got some other work I need to do here, but I also need to give myself a break, get some coffee, spend a little bit of time with the wife and the son. So we will probably be streaming again at a reasonable hour tomorrow. I'll announce it way ahead of time. We'll have some definite subjects, but we're also going to kind of break these streams up into free-for-all times and everything like that, so people can just hop in and just start asking whatever questions they want, and we'll do our best to give you some information, help, or feedback on it, and crack some jokes along the way. So any suggestions or anything like that, go ahead and slap them down on the posts that I've already put up on the groups and things like that. You can leave feedback on 3dnexus.com. You can leave feedback on the Twitch channel, or even on the YouTube stream when it ends up getting put back up there too, and we'll go from there. Open for suggestions.
Thanks for watching us, guys.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching us. Does anybody have any closing remarks or anything before I nuke it? Well, nobody showed us their ass, so I guess we're doing good. All right, folks, take it easy. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks again.